What's going on, everyone? Welcome. This is the Warehouse Series. So today we're going to be looking over a couple of my orders. I tried to take pictures throughout the course of building it. And after I'm done going through my order, I'm going to show you, I caught up with my trainee. He's on his first day of his second week on his own. And I caught up with him with a pallet with about waist high, but it was a bunch of small cases. And I was very impressed with what he had going on there. So I asked him if I could take a picture of his work and put it on my video. So we're going to do all that. If you guys want to do all this, I really appreciate it. Subscribe, Discord, link below. Give me a thumbs up if you want to donate to Venmo. It's much appreciated. Let's get on to my first picture. All right, guys, so the first picture I want to show you is this one right here. This is our 48 out. We start off with sugar, flour. We get bakery items, bakery buckets, bakery bags, bakery down here, and then we get onto the cat litter, cat food, and stuff like that. I've been asked a lot of times in the past, what do you do when you only get a few flour? Guys, every time I get problem cases I don't like stacking on, they go straight up in my front corner of my pallet. Every time, all the time. That way I got more wood exposed. I don't need to worry about stacking on top of flour now until I get to this point right here. So I got a lot of wood showing, and as you can see in this picture right here, those are those three flour right there, and I started building around it, not forcing myself to fill in the entire piece of wood before I start getting to the rest of my order, or I mean my second layer, I should say. Some people like to hurry up and try to fill in every single part of that layer. That's not me. That's not how I operate. And this is how I do things, guys. Keeping big cases on the corners, little cases in the middle. We had 4 of these bakery boxes. I kept them all together, lining up my corners. Guys, I had a high bakery bucket here, a low bakery bucket here. What do? I swap them around. I got a high-low case, and I just swapped them around. Second picture here, I'm further on in my order. I had some real big bags come up that I was able to stack on that corner. And then when I get the opportunity to tie in, see guys, call them, and then tie in. I'm not gonna force myself to tie in if I can't. I started getting some cans in these slippery cases. I like to keep these slippery cases away from my corners if I can help it, but I started getting more, so you're gonna see that I put a couple slippery cases up in the corner. But this is the second part of that pallet I want to show you. Let's get on to the other one. As you can see right here, I got more. I had I'm up higher. I was a little happy with it. Plus, it's on the front of my jack. I got this guard to help me with those cases not moving. That's why I always tell you I like smaller cases up. You see, I got 9 lives on each side on its end, but there's going to be 0 pressure on those 9 lives, so I'm able to do that. I got my middle here is even with this. We got the cans forming a nice back corner, and I got a hole in the middle that I'm not worried about right now. So let's go on to the next one. And this is my finished product. So as you can see, guys, just a beautiful thing here. We got bags. I call them stacked until I was able to tie in. I don't force myself to tie in. So right here, I had I just wasn't getting the cases to line it up there. So I waited until I got to this point. And then guys, when I tie in, I just don't hurry up and switch back the opposite direction. No, I want a couple layers coming in to offset this column right here. So I hope that makes sense. Even this is a tie-in, guys. Even though this Tidy Cats is not leaning on anything, it's still a tie-in because it's taking the weight from the corner, and now I have weight hanging into this little gap right here, which isn't going to go anywhere. But it's just a form of, getting that weight distribution the whole way up. I had slippery cases. I kept them towards the front of my jack. Stacking 2, get 3 cases the same. I stack them straight across, keeping small cases in the middle. So that's the front of the pallet. Let's look at the back of the pallet. And as you can see right here, guys, there was that big case I had on the corner, my bakery items, just keeping lower cases, pointing cases in when I possibly can, filling in gaps. Guys, every single time, I always take mental notes of my gaps in my pallet. Every time I get a small case, I never think about where am I putting it on top. It's where am I sticking it into to help fill a gap. It doesn't even matter if it's serving a purpose. There's no need to put a small case on top when you can just fill gaps with it. But that's the back of the pallet. Let's take a look at my second order. All right, so this one right here, I started out with a lot of small cases. I do the same thing I always tell you I do, is that whenever I start off with small cases, everything's not in order in our warehouse. It's the most horrible slotted warehouse, like at least 8 to 10 of our aisles are just really badly slotted. So you'll get a couple of these and then you won't get a couple more for like another 18 bays. It's just so dumb. So what I do is to start these orders out is I'll start grouping them together on my jack. Unfortunately, that means I got to throw them twice, but I find that to be the most efficient way. So because what I find people doing is they either A, have a shitty pallet, or B, they're moving their cases around anyhow to try to get it to work. So I'll throw like my first 20 cases on the jack and I'll just group them together. I'll group all these together. I'll group all the jars together. So I had all these separated. I should have took a picture of that. I had all the items separated on my jack to like cases, and then I hurry up and throw it together to organize it. Why did I stack all this stuff up the front? Because I know our warehouse, and for some stupid reason, we have small cases and then we get back into bigger cases again. I'm going to get canned goods, and then I'm going to luckily have a 2-pallet order, because then we move on into oils and stuff like that. So that's my first picture. Let's get on to the second picture of this order. I took this picture because I wanted to show you that later on I started getting a hole down here. All right. And two things with this. People always try to force stuff into these small holes. Who cares? Who cares if anything goes in here? We have a nice, strong perimeter. I'm not worried about that hole. I did find a case to fit down on top of the jelly, but that was about it. So I left a little hole here, and guess what? Later on, I just filled right over top of it. People get too fascinated with trying to fill in every single hole that they got in their pallet. If it's in the middle and you're building properly, it's a hole that you do not have to worry about. All right, so here you can see right here, we had that hole in the middle right here. Just guys, when I get 2 cases the same, face them in, opportunity to come back in, tying it in. So as you can see, when you get these type of orders, they're almost like columns. So your job is to tie in both of these columns. And then when you get an opportunity later on in the pallet, you want to try to put the weight going from one column to the next. That is how I build. I basically have like 4 corners being built on my pallet, and then when I have the opportunity to tie in one corner to the next, I will do so. But it is so important. 2 jellies facing back, 1 case facing in, 2 the same cases back, 2 the same cases back, 1 case facing in, 2 the same cases back. Guys, I just hope this is being repetitive to you. This is how I build. Do I do this in the middle of the pallet? No, I only do this on the front end and the back end. I do not want these cases facing like this in the middle part of the pallet. It's the part I hate. And the only time I do that is if I have a full layer. I'd rather have these nice strong cases on the corners. I don't want them in the middle of my pallet. As you can see right here, skinny cases in the middle, that part of the cross that I talk about. Not only do you want small cases on that part of the cross I talk about it, you want it running along the line as well. You don't want to be turning it the opposite direction. Let's look at the next picture. So guys, this is my finished product. There was a 2-pallet order on this, but this is the finished part of my front end. As you can see, guys, keep in small cases. I got a case up on end here. Nothing that's going to be major. It's, we're not putting a ton of weight on it, but guys, you can look all through my order. 2 cases, 2 cases, 2 cases, 2 cases, pointing back, 1 case pointing in. I put hostess up on end. I couldn't find a place to put it, but we have 2 very light boxes on top of it. Nothing that's going to compromise anything there. Small cases in the middle, guys, bigger cases pointing in, just the same stuff. Let's take a look at the other side here. So this is the back of that pallet, and this was the bends and everything you've seen. As you can see, guys, big long case. Anytime I get a big long case, I think corner facing in. The only time I think corner facing back is if I have 2 of them. If I have 1, corner facing in all the time. Had a column stack all the way to here. Guys, this is a form of tying in. I got a case coming in, even though it's not leaning on something, it's still bringing the weight back in. And then I continue to do that by putting a case right here and bringing the weight back in. It might not be a lot of weight, but it's enough to take any rock off of this corner that I would have had. So I hope all this makes sense. I hope these pallets look really good to you. So the next pallet is the this is the front of my back pallet I was building. These are the oils and Hawaiian punches I told you that we get. I used that as a second base. Got 3 2-liters across. Once again, I had a column stack. Weight distribution, guys. This is a form of tying in. Even though it's going the same direction, we're bringing weight away from the corner because we're coming into this little gap now. So that's the front of the back pallet, and we are going to look at the back of the back pallet, which is right there. And as you guys, pretty simplistic on the back, couple tie-ins on the bottom layer, and then we just filled it in with cereal to have that done. So that's that. So now I want to show you my trainee's pallet. I caught up with him in the aisle. He had a pallet probably, it looks like it's about stomach to chest high. And I thought this was awesome. Guys, look, we got Gatorades going across the bottom. We're not hanging off the pallet. Case is facing in, case in the middle, case is facing in. Two the same case. What do we got? Actually, we got one facing back. Or no, they're both facing back. Yeah, guys, I honestly, when I caught up with him, second week, day one. So this is his 6th day on his own. And when I caught up to him, he is the only trainee I have ever trained that actually, a few weeks later, is actually using the process that I told him. Maybe not to the T, but he's using a lot of the process that I told him. High corner, low inside. Nice big heavy case coming in. Now, I don't like this right here. I didn't notice this at the time, but these Campbells are definitely sticking out too far. But like I said, I'm not, this Splenda actually could have been turned on its side. It's something that's not going to break to give yourself a little bit more room here. But it's still a good looking pallet. He's still got the concept down, even though that case is hanging off a little bit. So let's look at the side view of his. Once again, guys, look at this. Nice tied in base. Look at this all the way up. This is just so perfect. Even though I wouldn't do this with this case, I still like it. Even though I probably wouldn't have done this with this case, it's all right. You don't have to build exactly how I say, but it shows me that he was listening. It shows me that he's listening and that he is building. I mean, come on, look at this. I mean, you got a high. Look, guys, you got a high case with a low, and you get a high and a low. You just swap them around. Guys, you could do this everywhere on your order. It's just about taking mental notes and knowing what works. And these here, he moved them. He was just throwing them up there at the time because they're very light cases. And look, guys, what do you see? Nice skinny cases in the middle, the part of the cross I talk about. I love it. Very well done. He's doing great. And the last order I want to show you was this one right here. Last Monday, I put out a video with the guys that wanted to battle each other to see who could build better. And the only reason why I told Bryant Foster that I rejected his one pallet is because he had all of his broths on his side. And he posted this a couple of days later, a day later, saying that, here you go. I put all my broths upright for Tim. He said he was trained to put broths on their sides. And guys, and first of all, I want to thank Bryant for taking the time to do this. I mean, honestly, I really do appreciate it because it just proves that you can build just as good with these broths upright. There is no reason to turn any liquid on their side. It is not making a better pallet. Turning liquids upside down. You see people, those 2 liters I had on my order, people will turn them upside down because there's a flat cardboard thing. Meanwhile, you're giving your base of that case like weak as hell now. So I'm glad you did this. And honestly, I told you, if your broths were upright, you probably would have won that one. I also want to say that the one case that I had up on end that I said fragile, he said it was trash bags. So honestly, I'm going to go back and call that an even draw, between those 2 pallets. So Cole Wolf, you did not win all 3, in my opinion. The fact that those are trash bags, for whatever reason they say fragile on them, I'm going to give that a tie on that one there. So, but honestly, if you would have put this pallet on, I probably would have, you probably would have won. So that's it. That's the last picture I want to show you guys. All right, guys, that's it. I appreciate everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be selecting in the warehouse a lot because I'm working overtime again, thanks to inflation. I just can't afford things right now, so I have no choice but to work overtime. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of my work coming up. I know I said I would post just once a week on Fridays, but you're going to be seeing more pictures of my work coming up. It's my channel. You guys should see my work. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.